on your laptops off,
The services?
so
It
you don't
should be.
get feedback.
I believe it is. Yes?
Yeah.
Do you hear feedback?
Yeah. Or the.
Do you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Do you hear feedback?
No.
Okay, perfect.
So you get visited 3 times and then something like. Did you get the membership back?
I always see some.
I sent to.
The flight I fly, there's always extra seats.
Mario.
Probably not much.
Explaining that I'm busy and not able to join.
Oh, okay.
If I have to move back, I'll get the whole road myself.
Yeah, they told
Then
me
tomorrow,
that
I'll be
very
I'm hoping there will be a seat.
intellectual as great folks and they're responding that and
No,
not sure
they're
they're
going to see
great.
family or going there.
Them to be instrumental that I can hold.
Yeah,
But if you say, hey,
No,
three
it's
times.
We get a paragraph before with you.
No, it's a leader.
It's gonna be fine. I'm not.
You were once the leader, but
I'm going in most
they
of the time
now
possible.
take over.
Except it's real.
So.
I'm going from Westchester.
Yeah, but they're telling me that she's okay.
It doesn't get more.
That I should come. And good.
That
Well, going.
entire crowd's gonna be Jews traveling between.
So cute.
Okay, if anybody wants a Tanakh, there are some books up there. I will share it on the screen, but just in case if you want a book.
You wanted me to pass these down or you're gonna do them?
Yeah, that's fine. Just there was a big gap, that's why. Yeah. I'll put these guys in front.
We just. Oh, well, we give me one, okay, please. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's only one problem.
I keep forgetting to bring them to. Yeah.
Alright, does everyone have one? You just pass them down, they'll grab them.
Do we need to know?
That's awesome.
Give it, or it's okay on here.
If you'd like one, no, this is separate, this is extra. So if you want, I'm gonna put the,
I can read it from here?
yeah, is that good for you?
My dad's
If not, then I can get the, okay, they're right behind Marcia.
Okay.
I also left some by the front, so when people come in. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is our final Shabbat of 5785.
Amazing.
Pretty amazing, don't you think? 5785 is coming to a close. And we will be welcoming, God willing, the year 5786, beginning on Monday night for our Rosh Hashanah. So if we think and place ourselves in this moment, and we think about what the text is calling to us, we're also going to take a moment just to center ourselves presently still in this year. Because oftentimes when there's something of great anticipation, we find ourselves living in that moment before it's even begun. We're anticipating it coming. We're anticipating the new beginning. But we're still presently here in this moment at this time. The year has not come to a close. Shabbat is still coming. Shabbat will greet us this evening. And so I've been thinking a little bit about it, especially with the opening of the Torah portion that calls us to stand. You shall stand this day. The opening of the Parsha Nitzavim, which I don't have shown yet. I just want us to imagine it. It opens at Atem Nitzavim Hayom. You stand this day, today. It forces us to stand presently in this moment. Even with all of the emotions and excitement and enthusiasm and preparation and to-do lists and all the things that have to happen in order for the new year to begin, we're reminded on the Shabbat, Atem Nitzavim Hayom, you stand still here in this moment today. And so before we begin, I want us to sort of take that gift and that moment for ourselves to actually be present here in this space. To allow ourselves to be released from all the things that we are carrying, all the things that we are still actively engaged in, all the work that we are preparing to do, all of that we can quiet for the 1 hour Atem Nitzavim Hayom, that we stand here in this space at this time today. Whew. Let it out. Right? Who here has been preparing a lot? Right? In many ways, it doesn't mean you're cooking all the time. You could be cooking, you could be baking, you could be prepping, you could be thinking, you could be doing, you could be thinking, you could be doing, you could be, right?
Anticipating.
Anticipating, imagining, right? Am I gonna get that parking spot in the temple, or am I gonna park across it? No, I'm just kidding. I don't wanna give you the service.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. Okay, right? No, Atem Nitzavim Hayom. No, we stand here today in this moment and we give ourselves the gift of that. Okay, so as we read the Parsha today, I want us to really think about what is Moses offering us in this moment. This is the Parsha that we read closest to Rosh Hashanah. It's also a Parsha that we repeat on Yom Kippur. So in many ways, this is a bookend Parsha. It begins and launches us into the new year, and then it culminates the Yom Kippur, the days of awe, those moments, as we read it again. So we're gonna read a little bit more of the text itself today. We're gonna read through two big sections of it. And then I have for you this printout from the Hadar Institute. They create every year a magnificent high holiday reader, high holiday insert with like just beautiful texts and teachings. And so we're gonna dive into that section because in this Parsha Nitzavim, there are 10 verses out of the Parsha that are devoted to Teshuvah. So there's no coincidence that we read it on the high holidays. And there's also no coincidence that we read it just right before. Okay? All right, so our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzotav v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah. Okay, so let's begin in the business of studying Torah. I want to first share my screen. Okay, all right. So let me start here. Nitzavim, Parsha Nitzavim. As I mentioned, it begins. Atem Nitzavim hayem kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. You stand this day, all of you, before Adonai our God, your tribal heads, your elders, and your officials, every householder in Israel. Your children, your wives, even the stranger within your camp, from the wood chopper to the water drawer. To enter into the covenant of your God, which your God is concluding with you this day with its sanctions, in order to establish you this day as God's people, and in order to be your God as promised you and as sworn to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I make this covenant with its sanctions, not with you alone, but with those who are standing here with us this day before our God, and with those who are not with us here this day. So I'm going to pause there. What do you see? What do you hear? And what is interesting to you? What words stand out? What words repeat? What did you hear? Parsha.
It's for all time, for everybody, it's inclusive.
Yes. Which is also interesting. It's timeless in that way, but it's also timed in that way. So I find that very interesting. You stand here, Hayom. Hayom is a day, today, and yet it is timeless in the sense that it's not just the people who are physically standing there, but it is for all of those who will come to be.
But not only the Israelites, everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody.
And and everybody. And what I love about this section too is the intentionality to say from wood chopper to water drawer. So it's not even just about the heads of the Israelites. It's not the tribes of the Israelites. It's not just the heads of the household. It is everybody, and everybody is standing together in front of God. regardless of station in life, regardless of stature in the community, regardless if you're an Israelite or a non-Israelite, if you are here in this space, a part of this community, you stand here today. Beautiful. What else?
Okay.
Okay, covenant, and remember, who is speaking these words? Moses, right? Moses is still speaking these words. We're getting to the very end of the Torah. These are his final few words. He knows, remember, we've talked about this. He knows he is not entering into the promised land. He knows he's about to die. These are the final words. Okay, this is what he is saying. And he's reminding them and saying that it's actually today you enter into this covenant. It was not only with Abraham who entered into the covenant. It's with all of us, and not just the people who are standing here. The generations who will come after us, they too are going to enter into the covenant. It's a continual entering into the covenant. Okay, what else? Anything else stand out? Or we've got it?
Did you say, anything about personal responsibility?
I didn't. You tell me.
Hey, well, it's choice.
Okay, how do you see, where do you see the choice?
It's the opportunity, the availability
Mm.
that is before you.
Nice. Right, beautiful. Very good. Very, very good. Okay, let's keep going. Number 15. Well, you know that we dwelt in the land of Egypt and that we passed through the midst of various other nations. You have seen the detestable things and fetishes of wood and stone, silver and gold that they keep. Perchance there is among you some man or woman or some clan or tribe whose heart is even now turning away from God to go and worship the gods of those nations. Perchance there is among you a stock sprouting poison weed and wormwood. When hearing the words of these sanctions, they may imagine a special immunity, thinking, I shall be safe, though I follow my own willful heart, to the utter ruin of most and dry alike. Adonai will never forgive that party. Rather, Adonai's anger and passion will rage against them, till every sanction recorded in this book comes down upon them, and God blots out their name from under heaven. What's the metaphor here? What's the imagery? Remember where this is being read, what time, in our year. What book are we talking about?
The book of life.
Right, this is a beautiful tying in of that, right, of that Sefer Chaim. This is the book of life. And look at how it's written here. God's anger and passion will rage against them till every sanction recorded in this book. This idea that this is the book of recordings of all that is happening. And God blots out their name from under heaven. The idea that God inscribes and God blots out. Like this imagery around the book of life. The idea that all of these deeds are recorded and recounted. They are reimagined and re-looked at every year. And then they are closed once again. Right? Okay. God will single out from all the tribes of Israel for misfortune in accordance with all the sanctions of the covenant recorded in his book of teaching. Now, which book is this? Torah, right? So also, again, really interesting books. We talk about the Torah as our book of life also, and then we have this book of life. Two different meanings, yet we use similar language for it, the same language for it.
But if you follow the teachings and then you have life. So they're complementary, they're not different.
Right, they're not exclusive of one another, they're absolutely intertwined. Okay, and later generations will ask the children who succeed you and foreigners who come from distant lands and see the plagues and diseases that Adonai has inflicted, all its soil devastated by sulfur and salt, beyond sowing and producing, no grass growing in it, just like the upheaval of Sodom and Gomorrah, Amda and Zeboim, which God overthrew in fierce anger. All nations will ask. What will they ask? Why did God do this? Wherefore that awful wrath? And they will be told. Here's the reason. Because they forsook the covenant that God and the God of our ancestors made with them upon freeing them from the land of Egypt. They turned to the service of other gods and worshiped them, gods whom they had not experienced and whom God had not allotted them. So Adonai was incensed at the land and brought it all up, the curses recorded in this book, and uprooted them from the soil in anger, fury, and great wrath, and cast them into another land, as it is the case. Concealed acts concern our God, but with overt acts it is for us and our children ever to apply all the provisions of this teaching. What do you hear?
You better do this if you're born into the covenant, or if you came out of Egypt, well, basically everyone at this point was born into the covenant. But if you were born into the covenant, you better do this, there's no going outside or straying. But what I find interesting is it doesn't say other cultures will not, it's just people who have already been in the covenant. Like if you're not in the covenant and you're a neighboring group, you don't, it doesn't apply.
Right, okay. What else?
You know, that you have to keep,
No,
you have to keep warning the coming generations. This, you know, make sure that they're not oblivious to what happened, so they know the consequences.
okay, so it's so interesting. So making the next generation, bringing them into a sense of awareness. Okay, that's beautiful. I love that idea because also we think about what our tradition teaches us, Lador Vador, that it's incumbent upon us to teach our children. We can't just hope that by osmosis they will receive the information. We cannot just hope that just by proximity they will know and understand. It's very, very clear that we have to teach, that we have to teach them not just by words, but how we live our lives. And what this is reminding us, especially if we think about the proximity to the new year, as we're about to walk into a new year, the idea that we have this responsibility that's truly upon our hearts to teach and to remind, to observe and to do with the fullness of our heart and our soul and our spirit, and also to pass that wisdom on for the next generation. Because even though they weren't standing there, they were standing there. That's really powerful. If we stop for a moment to consider that our children, who may not have been physically standing there, but our tradition says we're standing there, the beauty of that is that they were standing there. They received it, it's their covenant, it's their Torah. But the assumption then is that they were standing there, then they know. But they weren't standing there. So how will they know? Right? So it's a really interesting piece to, as a reminder for us, and even for ourselves. We were standing there, but we weren't standing there.
Right.
Meaning that what we're all doing here today, of learners of Torah, is that what we're actually doing is teaching ourselves what we received when we were standing there spiritually.
For me, this is what makes me feel connected to all Jews.
Mm.
We're all that.
Yeah.
When you meet another Jew, there's an automatic connection that isn't there with other people, and I think this is it
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. And I also think the powerful piece about this is when we think about those who choose to enter the faith of Judaism at another point of their lives, they were standing there.
Mhm.
And they were standing there, right? So they were standing there, and that's also another important piece for us. They were standing there, they weren't standing there. Right? So we can't just assume we should know that. Just like I don't want someone to assume I should know that. Right? We can't assume our kids know that. What does it mean to live by Torah? What does it mean to be illuminated by the light of our tradition? What does it mean to love God? Right? Like these are things that we have to impart. So I'll tell you a cute story. So yesterday I was listening to a podcast in the car on my way to pick up Asher from school. And so when we got back in the car, it's the Parsha, and it's playing in the car, and Asher gets in the car, and like we pull out of the parking lot, we get to the Yamada, we make a right, we're driving home, and he goes, "Mom, seriously, what is this guy talking about?" Right? Mom, what's he talking about? I said, "Well, what do you think he was talking about?" And he goes, "He said I should share my soul with God." I'm gonna share my soul with God, right? So like all good rabbis, I answered with a question. Why don't you want to share your soul with God, Asher? Because it's my soul. I said, well, what would you want to do with God? He goes, I just want to dance with God. Like, so seriously, what's he talking about, Mom? So I just like, I had to, it just reminded, because I'm like, the assumption is they were there. Right? The beauty is they are there. And even as a 5-year-old, right, a newly minted 5-year-old, right? It's there. It's there within, deep down, it's there. But it's our responsibility to encourage it, to enhance, to grow, to feel connection, to feel relevance to their own lives, to our own lives, and to the lives of those who come after us. The beauty of this Parsha for me is just like, yes, we were there. We weren't really, but we weren't there. And that's the work. Because if we just say we were there, and I know it, right, that sort of releases us from the responsibility and the obligation of what it actually means to live it and to be it and to feel it. And that's the joy, right? Maimonides talks about how the actual, Maimonides and Rashi get into this like conversation about, even though they're worlds apart and times apart, but in the Talmud, this whole commentary and this whole discussion that, for one, what God is talking about here when we get a little bit closer is that the words of the Torah are close to us wherever we are. And Maimonides says, no, what Moses is talking about here is that Tshuva is close to us. It's within our reach, right? And so, but the interesting interplay of that is that it can be Torah and it can be Tshuva and it can be mitzvot and it can be whatever it is for us in terms of our connection to Judaism. The idea though, the takeaway is that it's right here. But we have to access it, we have to do it, just like we're all doing here. Maddie.
What I love about the story you told is that we can all learn from our young ones. I mean, I've learned from my children a lot. And I think for me, the lesson here is teaching or what we're commanded to do, to teach and share and make connection, is to find a way to make it accessible.
Yeah.
In a way that makes sense and appeals or makes that connection. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than dancing with.
Yeah.
Right? I was
dancing
like, oh
with-
my
I mean,
gosh, yes.
who is that artist that's in, he's very, Chagall.
Yeah,
Chagall shows the dancing
Yeah.
all over.
right, there's a lot of movement, yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, let's keep going, because I wanna get to this part. Oh, wait, hold on, sorry. Tara, someone's saying something beautiful, let's see. So Tara says, and Susan, perfect. The mitzvot are attainable, they are not in the heavens, they are inside of us. We are to be active participants and not just listen. Yes, we're getting there for sure. And I am bothered that the Jewish people are to act as the police, judge, jury for overt acts. So Susan, tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
I guess I'm seeing now how people's actions can get out of control and aren't always based on what everyone believes is the truth. To put us in that position of raining down all the horrible things that we're expected to if somebody does something overtly idolatrous, I guess. I just wish God would have taken on all the responsibility.
Well, so I see it more as God is the eternal judge, like God is the one to oversee that. However, I don't think the responsibility is only on God. And I think that's part of what it means to be a people be part of what it means to be a light unto the nations. That if we only say and abdicate the responsibility to something else or to someone else, then we ourselves are recusing ourselves from the active engagement of what it means to build a world of wholeness and justice and goodness and right. It doesn't mean that we are the judge of it doesn't mean that I'm here to tell you how to live your life, but in this text, it's saying, this is what it means to be part of this covenant. This is what it means to live according to God's rules and laws and mitzvot in order to have a life of blessing, right? From the Torah-itic theology, right? That's what we're focused on. but God is the true judge from here. But that doesn't recuse us from being responsible for making it happen in the world, right?
Yes.
That's okay. All right, number 1, 30. So let's see if this helps you. When all these things befall you, the blessing and the curse that I've set before you, and you take them to heart amidst the various nations to which your God has banished you, and you return to your God, and you and your children heed God's command with all your heart and soul, just as I enjoin upon you this day, then your God will restore your fortunes and take you back in love. God will bring you together again from all the peoples where your God has scattered you. What is the imagery here?
Israel.
Right, diaspora, exile, diaspora, and then the ingathering of the exiles. Even if you're outcasts or at the ends of the world, from there your God will gather you, and there your God will fetch you. And your God will bring you to the land that your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And God will make you more prosperous and more numerous than your ancestors. The interesting piece here in terms of foreshadowing is, right, like they haven't even gone into the land, but Moses is saying, just letting you know, it's pretty possible you're not going to be there forever. That you're going to be spread out, scattered. But so you know, right, like the hope, the promise is that you will be returned. Okay, then your God will open up your heart and the hearts of your offspring. Now, the interesting thing here is I'm going to show you the source with the translation here. Umol Adonai Elohecha et levavcha. It's translated as then your God will open your heart. But if you look at the Hebrew, umol, milah, what is milah? Greek milah? Circumcision.
Yeah.
Milah. The literal translation of this means then your God will circumcise your heart. It's an interesting phrase. We see it at another place in Torah where we talk about the circumcision of the heart, or Parsha 8. But here we have Umol Adonai et levavcha, that God will now circumcise your heart. If we think about that imagery of what that means, right? We do circumcision as a sign of the covenant. This notion of circumcision of the heart, it's an interesting phrase, and it's I'm curious what your initial insights are. Like what would that mean to you? Why that image? Why that phrase? What do you think that means? Yeah.
It feels to me like your soul, your heart will be part of the covenant. It will be, you make the sacrifice commitment to the covenant. That's what it sounds like.
Okay, beautiful. I love that. What else?
It's a permanent change to your heart.
Oh, okay, nice, beautiful, right? Very similar, right? This symbol, this sign, it's a permanent sign, a permanent, it's. Say what you said?
It's a permanent change to the heart.
Permanent change to the heart, beautiful. What else? Anyone else?
So poetic.
It's quite poetic, and I also think, one of the things I love about it too is let me see what, okay, good, I have this, okay. That the idea that we circumcise this heart, it's like a tearing, but not like a rip. It's a surgical sort of marking that, again, just like with any other symbol of this covenant, it is something we carry. And it is something that has occurred to us just as we have, and transformed us and changed us, as Maddie said, spiritually, but represents this deep connection and covenantal relationship. It's a really interesting phrase that's used, I believe just twice in the Torah, and here it is. Okay, so God will open up and circumcise your heart, also the heart of your offspring. La'ahava et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha, right from the words of Ve'ahavta, that you will love the Lord your God with all your heart, which is also interesting if we think about the circumcising of your heart, because what does all of your heart mean, when there's been this, a little bit of this transformation and piece of it could have been removed, right? Like, I don't know, it's an interesting thing. So that you may live. V'Adonai, v'natan Adonai Elohecha et kol ha'alot. Your God will inflict all those curses upon the enemies and foes who persecuted you, yet however, will again heed Adonai and obey all the divine commandments that I enjoin on you this day. And your God will grant you abounding prosperity in your undertakings. I just want to move ahead here to get to where,
Actually, we go back briefly.
okay,
A few lines prior it said, God will destruction upon your enemies.
yeah,
I think that's been proven over all these centuries. Every time someone's trying to destroy the Jews, they don't make it. And we're still
that is a
here.
brief history of the holidays of the Jewish people, yeah. You're just forgetting that, and then we eat peace. Okay, right, so here we go.
Nobody's tried, it's still here. Except the current ones.
History is, has a very specific story to tell for that, yes.
Yeah.
Ki hamitzvah hazot, surely this instruction which I enjoin upon you this day is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond your reach. Now, what I want to be clear of here is that here in these pages, we're talking here ki tashuv, tshuva, that since you will be heeding your God and keeping the divine commandments and the laws recorded in this book of the teaching, once you tshuva, once you return to your God with all your heart and soul. Shuv means to return. Does not, the literal meaning of teshuvah, which you will read in my Shabbat message, so I'm not gonna go into a whole thing on this. But the literal meaning of it is not necessarily I'm sorry or forgiveness, teshuvah. It's how we have translated it. But it comes, the root shuv, teshuvah means to turn. It's a physical, to turn inward and to return. What the verses in this Parsha are talking about here is ki tashuv Adonai Elohecha, that we will turn toward God. By doing that, that is what Moses is talking about. Turn toward God, circumcise your heart, turn toward God, enter into the covenant, maintain that sense of connection. And by doing that, just so you know, that is not beyond your reach. Turning towards God is not beyond your reach. It is not in the heavens that you should say, who among us can go up to the heavens and get it for us and impart it to us that we may observe it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who among us can cross the other side of the sea and get it for us and impart it to us that we may observe it? No, the thing is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart to observe it. Like I said, Rashi says, no, the it is Torah, right? The Torah is not beyond your reach. It is not in the highest of heavens that you need someone to go up and get it for you and bring it down, which by the way, is the whole revolution of Deuteronomy in and of itself in a nutshell, because beforehand you did have to go, right? You had to go to the priest. Right? Right, but even in the desert before Jerusalem, you had to go to the Mishkan, and the Mishkan you had to go to the priest and give the sacrifice to the priest. But here it's very different. They're making a really significant shift in the way that we understand who we are in relationship to God. For Rashi, this is the Torah, the teachings, the mitzvot. They are not beyond your reach. You don't need anybody else to go for you. You can do it yourself. You can grab it and you can bring it because it's within you. For Maimonides, Ramban, he says, actually, what we're talking about here, what Moses is talking about here is teshuvah. That repentance is not beyond your reach. You don't need somebody else to go out and do it for you. Right? It's within you because it's a turning. It's a turning inward. It's a turning towards looking within yourself in order to engage in the behavior yourself. But it's not beyond you. It's not out of your reach. It's totally within your reach. Yeah.
Is this idea of God being within our reach, part of the foundation of rabbinic Judaism?
Yeah, the book of Deuteronomy in and of itself is really a foundational text in rabbinic Judaism, right? All of this is the notion of b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, of with all your heart, with all your soul, is the essence of what rabbinic Judaism at the time that the temple is destroyed and they flee Jerusalem and they're in exile, they have to reimagine and reinterpret what it actually means to be in a relationship with God. And they say, oh, wait, look, we've got a text.
The book.
Or, oh, look, I'm gonna create a tab. Whatever one you want.
You say that we can reach, it's your responsibility.
Well, it is your responsibility, right? And what Moses is saying, yeah, it's your responsibility, but I don't wanna hear it's my responsibility, but I can't get to it because I need somebody else to do it for me. Or, okay, I understand it's my responsibility, but how do I do it? It's so far away, it's up in the heavens, or it's, you know, it's so complex, it's so difficult. No, it's not. Does it take effort? Yeah, it takes a lot of effort.
When did this sort of philosophy or belief change that we're responsible for doing the actions that we need to do to live a godly life?
Well, I think it's rooted here in this text, in the book of Deuteronomy. But we've always had a sense of responsibility, even in biblical theology. Even from a Torahitic theology of reward and punishment, of blessing and curse. We have a sense of responsibility. Once we accepted Torah, Na'aseh v'nishma, all that you've said, we will do, we will hear. That's when we accepted the responsibility to do it. So that's what it's been. How we engage with that responsibility, that evolves and that changes over time and it morphs and whatever, but the root of the responsibility, that is what it means to be part of the covenant. Even from Abraham, right? God tests Abraham. Abraham engages in the test. Abraham does what Abraham does in order to live according to this faith walk, right? But he also knows that he has responsibilities to God. From the very beginning. Hold on, Marcia, and then did you have something?
I was just gonna say that nowadays we say, well, it's not brain surgery.
Yeah,
It's easy, you can do it, you know.
I don't know if it's easy.
Well, don't make it impossible.
Right, I am cautious with the words, because I don't think it's easy. If it was easy, it wouldn't be tied in with faith. It wouldn't be tied in with this kind of work. This is not easy. Easy, in my mind, diminishes the intensity of the work. It may feel it's within our capacity,
Right.
but that doesn't always say that it's easy. In terms of this internal, what we have to do internally, right? The work of looking within ourselves, that's probably harder work than the turning outward to go and say whatever we need to say or do what we ever need to do. The actual work, I don't know how often people say, I am ready today to turn inward and to face my flaws head on.
Not those exact words.
Why, Marcia? It's easy.
No, not those exact words, but it's not to say that I don't reflect.
For sure.
a lot.
Reflection is beautiful, right? The idea here is what is easy is just not a word I like. You can use that word. Totally great.
I think if you have your heart in the right place and it's circumcised and, you know, you filled with all of this knowledge, I think it cannot be so difficult.
True. I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't want it to be hard. But I also am not convinced I want it to be easy.
It's achievable.
Yeah, it's achievable. That's a good word. Right? Like, I think the beauty of our tradition. When we think about the high holidays, for example. There is reverence and there is beauty and there is majesty. There is also, as a part of that, there is also a little bit of fear, right? We are being asked to stand up and say the words, who shall live and who shall die? Unatana Toka. We are saying, we are hoping, we are praying to be inscribed in the book of life, knowing that this year we may not be. There is that spiritual heaviness that accompanies the high holy days, because there is also, and it's not like a somber, it's
Brainstorm.
Yeah, it's, there's a word I'm looking for, and I can't find it. But it is to evoke from within us a sense of trepidation, spiritual trepidation, that forces us not to rush through the day, not to rush through the holiness, not to rush through the moment and to just say, it's a new year, Shana Tova, Happy New Year, apples and honey, right? Which is fabulous and beautiful and amazing. It also asks us to say, walk with some trepidation. Don't run through it. Walk a little slower, a little bit more mindful. That our responsibility here is greater. It is asking us to challenge ourselves, and challenge is good. It's asking us to challenge ourselves. How am I truly going to give, offer, receive, create, be in this new year? And that, I think, is what this is saying to us, is that yes, it is totally within your capacity as human beings to do this work. It is within your reach, it is your sacred obligation and your responsibility. But it does require work. Yeah, right? Yeah, nice. Any other reflections on the text? How is everyone feel?
I was gonna say, just as an extra on that, that the understanding, intellectualization is it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right,
And the other thing I was gonna say, doesn't it say early on that man was made in God's image but given free will?
yeah. Well, say where?
I don't know, I don't remember.
Oh, we're saying when we talked about it here?
Where, where is it said that,
Yeah, we have choice.
yeah,
Choose life, choose the blessings, right? Like, these are choices. Both things are presented. Make your choice, right? Like, we do have choice. This is full of choice. This is not predetermined for us. This is full of choice, right? Like, these things are gonna happen to you because you've chosen not the great things. Then other things are gonna happen to you because you've chosen the right things, right? These are choices. I recognize that you as humanity and part of humanity have the opportunity to make these choices. We're gonna empower you with the words of our tradition to make a good one.
and part of it is fear, like you said,
Yeah.
the risk.
Right. That's what makes it, I think, that's what I think makes it substantive, right? So it makes our tradition, our faith substantive. It requires a lot of us. It is not a passive faith. It's not a passive religion, Judaism. It's active. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just talking about what we are responsible to do with our religion. There are things that we do. It requires action on our part. It's not just something we are. It's also something that we continually be and become. No. You do, no.
I just don't need to make a comment. You covered
Oh, I thought you were disagreeing, which is fine.
it. No, I agree completely.
Okay. Okay, let's look at this text that I gave you, you have on the handout, because I want us to focus on Shiva since we're at the time of Shiva. Right, so that's what we're gonna do. I have this from our friends online also. I'm gonna try and make this really good. Okay, so I wanted us to look at, because Maddie just brought up free choice, we're gonna look at that. Okay, so let's look here. So this is all, let's look at, we just talked about the Unatana Toka, but this is talking about Teshuvah. You have it on the paper because they're gonna have it on the screen. So Unatana Toka, one of the most poignant, most disturbing passages of Rosh Hashanah, it says, imagine that each individual's fate is tentatively decided on this day. And we ask ourselves, who will live and who will die? Whose dreams will come true and whose will be crushed? In this light, the idea of divine judgment and teshuvah, to which we are called, appear to be highly personal phenomena. Each of us is called to account for the particular choices we have made. Our own personal relationship with God is in question, and that relationship is shaped by our own deeds. We find one vision of teshuvah that fits this mood in the writings of the Rambam, Maimonides. In his Hilchot Teshuvah, he writes, I wanna go over here to Mishnah Torah, it's the same. Free choice is given to each person. If they want to turn toward the path of goodness and to be righteousness, that is in their hands. If they wish to turn toward the path of evil and to be wicked, that is in their hands too. What do you hear? What stands out for you?
We are responsible for ourselves.
Okay, we're responsible for ourselves, for our actions.
We decide which book we're in over the course of the year.
Okay, beautiful. That's nice. I like that. We decide, right? If they want to turn, tshuva, I want us to focus on the words. If they want to turn toward the path of goodness, or if they want to turn toward the path of evil. According to the Rambam, this freedom is what makes us unique in this world. It's part of what it means that we are made in God's image, B'Tselem Elohim. There is no one but you, the Rambam insists, who makes you do the good or evil deeds for which you are responsible. So what exactly does tshuva look like for Rambam? He answers, what is complete tshuva? This is when one has the chance to transgress in the same way that they once did, and they have the ability to do so, and nevertheless refuses to do so, not because of fear or because of weakness, but because they have repented. How do you feel about that definition of tshuva?
Let me reread it before I just.
You can. Basically, what Rambam is saying is that complete whole tshuva means that if you find yourself in the same situation and you choose once again to behave in the way that is not right, then you've not fully made tshuva. The idea, though, is that full tshuva, complete tshuva, means that you're confronted with the same scenario again, and you make the choice to turn from it and not do it. Not because of fear or you're afraid, but because that means you have transformed. The tshuva, the turning, is actually a transformation of self. And this is within our reach. That is the powerful piece that Maimonides brings. Because Maimonides directly relates this notion from Mishnah Torah and roots it in Deuteronomy, the section of our Torah in Tzavim, where it says that this is not too far from your abilities. This is not in the heavens, it's not for somebody else, it's totally for you. And what is that thing? Complete tshuva, meaning that you can personally transform. Oh my gosh. Wow. Right? If we think of tshuva as just, I want to think about the things that I haven't done right, and I'm going to apologize for that, which is fabulous and wonderful. I'm not saying don't do that. That's one level of teshuva. What Maimonides is suggesting here is that the complete teshuva means that you yourself have been transformed. That you have personally transformed yourself because you, A, have come into awareness of what that thing was that you did. That you're so consciously and highly attuned to that, that when you're presented with the same scenario, may not even be with the same person or the same things around you, but you have come into awareness to know that that is not something I should do, and you make the choice not to do it. Ah, that means teshuva. That means that you have transformed. And that, Maimonides argues, is the work that we do each and every year. Yes, Marsha. Oh, okay.
Learning from a past instances or past wrongdoings, let's say.
Mhm.
Is it like learning from perhaps past wrongdoings?
Yes, exactly right. That learning means that you've not just learned it, but you've internalized that learning to know that when presented again or in that event, you make the choice not to do the thing.
It's giving people like the idea that they have strength and confidence to be able to do that work.
Yes, I love that word.
Because it's not easy, but everyone hopefully, I mean, there are people who don't have that strength or ability. For whatever reason.
Right, and but what Maimonides is saying here is that. I want you to know. That it's not it's not out of your reach, right? That you may not feel like you have the strength now in this moment. But I want you to know that it's not beyond you. It is not across the sea, it is not up in the highest of heavens, it is totally within your capacity and capability to be able to do this work. Right, and so that's also like a motivator to say, even though I don't feel I have the strength to do this now. My personal goal is to have the strength to be able to do this, right? Like, so there's a powerful motivator there in order to gain the strength.
This kind of comes out of my master's class, though tangentially, it's kind of like changing your behavior versus transforming into a different way of thought and doing things. It's like change versus transformation. This is transformation, not just change.
Yeah, absolutely, of course, absolutely, that's a beautiful way to see it, right? Yes, changing our behavior. Right, one can interpret that in many ways. Although the transformation does require some level of change of ourself, right? There's
It's a higher.
a higher level of the change. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, Marcia.
Please forgive this question.
No, what?
So are we judged on a sliding scale?
What does that mean?
I understand.
Well, I may be better than I was. You know, it was like Passover, the son, the Chacham, and he does all of this, and then the Tom, he doesn't know that much, and then you've got the bad son that doesn't even know what to ask. So within our own lives and within our own stories, judged like that, or is God like looking at everyone and say, well, you're not gonna be like the rabbi over there.
Oh. What?
You know what I mean?
Yes, let me ask you, how would you answer that question?
I would say based on you as an individual.
Yeah,
I love the question.
it's a great question. It's a beautiful question, right? It's a beautiful question.
Also, do you have to do better every year? Or can you do as well as other years where you've done pretty well?
You don't have to be perfect, you just have to work towards the goal. Is that what you're kind of saying? You're getting better, but you're not.
Yeah,
Also, what's perfect?
yes.
What's perfect?
Being a 5-year-old thinking back on.
No, what's perfect? What do you mean? You're not perfect. What's perfect?
It's how you.
Nothing.
It's how you define it.
No.
So here's, this is so beautiful. If we live our lives in a way that we are only striving for perfection. Okay, I didn't even have to say the next sentence, you're like, oh, you went ahead, right? Yeah,
Well, it is.
well, but I don't even know what that means, right?
What is
that mean? What does that mean? If we look from our Torah, from the very beginning, the examples, if we say, oh, well, God is perfect, is God perfect? God, in God's own way, is saying, I too am seeking I have flaws. It's not a lightning bolts are not gonna fly down because I said God has flaws. We are created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. Are we perfect? No. We are human beings. We have a spark of the divine within us. God, in God's own way, prays in order to find a sense of understanding and compassion and to hold back from the anger. There's a beautiful prayer in Talmud where God prays to God's self. Say, oh my gosh, make me so that I do not do and act in judgment and in anger, so I don't react in this way, right? Knowing that I have that tendency. As human beings, the notion that we are trying to live up to an ideal of perfection is not just a daunting task, but it's an unrealistic task. And what it does is it actually sets you up to not just fail, but to set you up to it because you're pursuing something that isn't. Right? What we're trying to do is we are trying to live up to our best selves. We're trying to live in a way that expresses an authenticity and a goodness in order to heal, in order to bring wholeness, in order to build relationship, in order to connect ourselves with the divine, with each other, with the world. The idea of trying to pursue a notion of perfection, which I don't even know what that is, much less to say this day, today, we stand here today, in this day, I am going to strive to live up to the best of my own self today. Today, Hayom. Because if I'm only saying I'm going to live up to my best self in the year 5786, Gewalt. That's a lot of pressure to place on your shoulders on today. I want to get through today, living up to my best self. Because tomorrow, guess what? Your soul is going to be restored to you, pure. You're going to say, Modani, I'm grateful for this. And then you're going to say, I'm ready now, God, to partner with you in the work of creating today. Today. Not the whole world. Because how can you get through your action and your to-do list if you're trying to create the whole world at the same time? We're not setting ourselves up for success, right? We want to, if we think about what our goals are for the new year, while we're standing here today, we recognize that we are here in this moment. What are we going to do today to make today worthy of God's blessing? And then when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to say, what am I going to do today to live up to the best of my own self, to the standards I place for myself? What am I going to do to make today worthy of God's blessing? That's enough to worry about it today, much less a whole year in one day. And we're not striving for perfection. We're striving to be human. We're striving to be our most authentic selves, right? Like that's powerful, and it's not out of our reach. It's totally within our capacity. Spencer.
I'd love to hear what Tara thinks, because we were talking about this last week. And she had some great thoughts. You did. You did have great thoughts.
Well, I was just saying that what I said in the chat was this is our teshuva, meaning no matter how many times we mess up and we choose one path, we can always go back to Hashem. And, and also the idea of transformation, I know I don't want to get too deep, but I struggled with alcohol addiction for years. And I'm like, okay, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that. I'm hungover. Then finally, you just realize within yourself, it's not like we said in the heavens. It's not here. It's in here. That transformation that you have the power. And we always mess up. We do something. But the fact that we're making that effort and we transform in small ways, I think is the bigger picture.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
During this whole discussion, I've been thinking, who said judgment is a bad thing? I think we're hardwired as human beings to focus on our flaws or what's missing, even if we have 99.9999, we're focusing on that thing. And I think it's a good thing because then it encourages us to keep learning, to be open. Imagine if we get complacent. I've reached there. So I think that little bit of questioning is it's really a good thing because by keeping an openness, we can improve. And we don't really know, none of us know how far we can get to the point of self-actualization. So I think it just occurred to me today, I never would think as judgment as having a positive attribute.
Thank you all for sharing. I want to end with prayer. This is from Rabbi Karen Kadar in her new book, Unfolding, a High Holiday Companion. It's beautiful. It's really a beautiful book. And I want to share this with you because it really fits beautifully with everything that you all have said. So it's entitled Unfolding. V'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim b'rach chesdecha, aneni be'emet yishecha. My life becomes a prayer to you, Holy One of blessings. The moment I am willing, answer me, O God, in grace and in truth. I need these days to test my will, my willingness to reform or transform. There is so much work to be done to make my life a prayer, a supplication, an utterance of gratitude, a living devotional. I reach for you, beloved. Forgive me my trespasses. At this moment, I am willing. Let my life be a prayer of grace and truth, if you will. I reach for you, beloved. I am in formation, unfolding. May all of us unfold this year and express ourselves in ways that we never once knew or never once attained. May we continue to unfold the beauty within and the beauty that we are hoping to become. Shana Tova, Metuka, and Shabbat Shalom.
Are we doing this on Shabbat Shuva or canceled?
What?
Next week is Shabbat Shuva. Are we doing this at 11 or is it canceled?
I have it down for 11.
Oh, we're still doing this week.
We're on.
Okay.
I'll be here if you'll be here.
What
I'll be here.
tomorrow? Is tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so we're starting?
9:30.
9:30.
Yeah.
For some.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's fun to
thank you
know.
all. Yeah, no, it's a good question. I didn't even think about it, so yeah, I'll be